Welcome to the Loopy Pro video manual. This is a series of videos getting you up and running with Loopy Pro as fast as possible. In this video, we're going to be talking about the latest update, which is version 1.1. At the time of recording this, it's actually on 1.1.4, and there are over a mixture of 90 features, tweaks, and fixes with 1.1.4. Now, if you want to see the entire list, all you need to do is go to loopypro.com. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see Roadmap, and on there, you can actually vote for and request new features, but also if you go to changelog, you'll see everything that's changed. But today, we're going to show you a couple of examples of the new features. Now, if you've been into Loopy Pro before and you've had it for over a year, some updates are free and some updates you have to pay for. So if you go to the menu in the top right-hand corner, you'll now see available updates. So if we click on this right now, it says that there's 8 new features available and you can upgrade to have the latest features for 12 months for £14.99. Obviously, the price will vary depending on what country you're in. And you can actually see the new upgrades here. We're starting with radio and step dial widgets, overdub feedback, OSC support, multiple control profiles, multi-in and multi-out for Loopy Pro AUV3, seek to selection, phase align action, and finally peel and replace track layers. That last one on its own from a performance point of view for me is absolutely worth it. So it says underneath here, the above features plus 12 months of updates to keep is a one-off, non-renewing purchase. Now, if you've already paid for it, you can restore your purchases in the top right-hand corner, or you can trial it for 7 days to see if those upgrades are worth it for you. To keep the lights on for Michael's house, the developer of Loopy Pro, then these updates come at a one-off purchase of $14.99. Now, that is for any updates within the next 12 months. It's a one-off purchase, it's not a subscription, and by doing that, you're helping Michael develop the best looper on an iOS platform. So we're going to click upgrade for $14.99, and we just click the side button to confirm that with Face ID or Touch ID, whatever you're using. So if you do have any questions regarding Loopy Pro, of course you can ask me, and me and Michael are working on this series together. But what you can also do is you have a look there, you can see, you can drop him a line at michael@atastypixel.com. Now we click continue, we've got access to these new features. So in version 1.1, the first effect and the first new feature is very speed and reverse playback. And these are actually free, they're not part of the upgrades that you need to pay for. But let me show you them. I've created a track with a couple of effects on, and I'm going to add in a very speed. I'm also going to add in a reset. So I've just got headphones on so I can hear what I'm doing, and I've got my microphone just here connected to Loopy Pro via my audio interface. So let's play the track. Let's have a listen to what it sounds like. So you can hear there's quite a lot of reverbs, there's a delay system, there's the FAC transient that I love to use on beatboxing. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at this new feature. So we're going to go into editing and we're going to have a look at adding a couple of things. So first of all, we're going to add a slider. Now I'm just going to make this slider a little bit bigger by dragging it across. And I'm also going to add 2 buttons. I'm going to move them over to here. Now, when we actually start playing with these, of course, they're not assigned to anything. We can assign them to different things. The first one is the slider, and what we're going to do is we're going to change the value of this for a vary speed. So to do this, we change the value, and we can actually change a parameter, adjust the parameter, and then it asks you, what is the target? Well, for the target on this one, the orange loops are the drums. So I'm going to actually do a specific color. I'm going to do orange. Now it's defaulted to volume, but what we're going to do is we're going to change this over, and you can see there's some brand new options, and you've got pitch and speed, and you've also got rate. With other loopers, certainly hardware loopers, you may change the pitch, but it can change the speed or vice versa. With this, you get the option where you can choose one or both. And what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the rate. So now we've done that, we've changed the orange rate. Let's just get out of here and I'm going to show you what this does. We go all the way to the end. It starts reversing. Go forward. It starts going forward really quickly. Now that's really, really cool, but the one thing you might want to do is actually get back in sync with the rest of the loop. And this is why I've actually put these buttons in. So the first of the 2 buttons we're going to do is a reset. We're going to reset that fader so it puts it back in sync with the track. And I'm going to use this one. I'm actually going to call it reset so I know which one it is. So we're going to hit press, and then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down, and you can actually see in a clip action, we've actually got phase align clip. So we're going to actually align the phase of that sound, and we can see the target is none. We're going to actually target back to the specific color, so let's do that. We're going to target to orange. Now you can set a phase lock, which is really clever, and then you can even do a transition, so we can have a constant pitch up and down or a variable pitch, so it sounds a little bit like a DJ when they spin a vinyl, and then you can actually get it back in time. So I'm going to do variable pitch, which is quite cool. You can have a transition, so we're going to have obviously a couple of different milliseconds there, so let's just do about 300 milliseconds, so it kind of kicks in nice and quickly. So now I've done that, let me just show you how that works. So we're going to hit play again. You can hear it's out of phase. Let's hit reset. You hear that? It just spun back in. I'm going to knock it out. And it puts it back. Now one thing we can do, which is cool, is we can play around with the timing of the transition. So we can go into edit, we can go and select reset, phase align orange, and we can actually play around with this. Now it's actually set 1,000 milliseconds a second to begin with. So if we actually just play this again. Do you see how the orange one sort of like turn and move back? Now, of course, you can change this for a lot longer or a lot shorter, however you want it to be. The next button I'm going to do is a reverse. Because we've got a variable speed, we can play around with it and slide it, but maybe you want it to reverse straight away without any kind of variable speed. We can do that. So we're going to go back into edit mode. We're going to pick this second button. We're going to call it reverse, and then we're going to hit press, and then we're going to literally search for reverse, and the new option is reverse clip. Now you can actually target this, so we could say all clips or just the drums or just whatever you want it to be. For this example, I'm going to click all clips, so it's going to reverse everything. And it's a toggle, so what you can do, you can actually have it as a toggle or reverse or forward. So we toggle it on and off, and we can reset the phrase again. So once we've done that now, obviously we can give these buttons colors if you wanted to. Let's play the track again. Let's hit reverse. Let's hit reverse a second time and see what happens. What's really nice about this is when you hit reverse, it reverses in the moment of the phrase, and then when you hit reverse again to reset it, it doesn't go back to the beginning, it actually goes back to where it was. So it's really clever. Now just to play with this a little, I'm actually going to change the reverse, and I'm only going to reverse the yellow one, which is sort of the floating choir that I've created. So instead of all clips, we're going to select a specific color again, and we're just going to go yellow. So now what we can do is we can actually have a play with this, and we can get some really interesting sounds. Reverse and the very speed on its own is just a lot of fun. Now I've only assigned them to certain things. You can assign it to entire clips, entire sections of your song if you really want to. Maybe you want to use this as a breakdown, or you want to use it to drop things out and bring things back again. It's really cool. One of the other cool features regarding timing is actually the main metronome. Up in the top right hand corner, you can see this is 84.65 beats per minute. And if I give that a click, you can see the BPM and you can adjust it accordingly. Now you've always been able to do this, no problem. And Loopy Pro is really good at sort of time stretching your audio to the best of its ability. But there's a couple of new time stretch features depending on how the project works. So let me just play the track, and I'm going to just change the tempo. Just slide my finger one side or the other. And I can double tap the slider and I'll put it back to the way it was. But if we go into the menu and you go into clip settings, one of the things in clip settings now, you'll see time fitting. And if we click on time fitting, you'll see it's defaulted to time stretch. Time stretch performs a pitch consistent time stretching to fit the tempo. And that's what you've just heard. The other one is fast time stretch and vary speed. So fast time stretch performs fast but slower quality time stretch until the render is complete. This is very useful if you haven't got a lot of CPU power using an older iPad. But the really interesting one is vary speed. Again, we've played with the vary speed already and I've shown you that, but this is actually vary speed for the whole track and for the tempo. So if we click it on there, what this can do now is we get out of here, we'll play the track again, I'll do exactly what I did before, but now you're going to hear the pitch change with the tempo. Again, this can sound like vinyl if you're sort of slowing things down or speeding things up. Let me show you. So again, I'm just going to use the slider. That's cool. Now to reset this, we can just double tap it and listen to how quick that was to just get back. Let's go the other way. We'll just double tap again and it just stops it. It's real fun, and I think it's just a really nice addition to 1.1. Now, the next major feature is actually audio feedback or decay. In older loopers, you used to have this, and you weren't able to just record audio 100% of the time. It actually decay the sound slightly. This is on the really old loopers, and actually in Loopy Pro 1.1 you have that option. This is really cool to play around with effects. Certainly if you've got delays going, you're playing a guitar and you want to just play a solo and let the other part of that solo just fade away. So as you can see on the screen here, I've gone back into the editor and I've grabbed another slider. I'm actually going to recolor this slider and just give it a nice blue color. So the reason is I'm going to attach it to the blue loop donuts. So what I'm going to do is go into this and we're going to have a play around with this new feature. So we're going to change a value, we're going to adjust a parameter, and then the target is going to be a specific color. It's going to be blue. And then this time the parameter you can see there is overdub feedback. And you can adjust the minimum and maximum value, and also the controller input start and end for the slider. So what's going to happen is when we hit record and then we actually overdub, it's going to continue to actually feedback that depending on how much I use this slider. So for this example, I'm going to sing a solo and I'm just going to change something. I'm going to add something onto the microphone, onto the input of the mixer. I'm going to add in a distortion. And for this, I've actually got the Nembrini Black, which is a great piece of kit. So as you can see there, as I was sort of laying down like almost like a solo, it's not recorded everything, it's decayed it and it's left with the last version that I recorded. You might want to use this in a different way. You might want to actually adjust this depending on how much it's recording, how much it's decaying in that time. But again, it's another great addition to Loopy 1.1. So I've got a brand new track here. I'm just going to play it so you can hear what it sounds like. And I've got a couple of layers on a couple of different loops. To show you the mixer, there's a couple of things going on. I've got the transients on my beatboxing. I've got a reverb, which is a large hall on the green ones. And then on the blue, we've got an equalizer, just simulating almost like a radio or telephone kind of sound. So one of the brand new gestures is peel and replace. This is fantastic to bring to Loopy Pro. Certainly if you make a load of overdubs with a load of different sounds, and then you want to peel that back to nothing, or replace it where you've got loads of harmonies, which is exactly what I've got right in the middle on the green loops. So let's have a listen. I'm just going to turn all the other loops off and you're going to hear the harmonies. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to end the song with this, but then start peeling it back so you're left with one voice. To do this, I'm going to swipe up on the loop, and then we're going to go down over to gestures. So to peel them back, what I can do is I can actually use one of the swipes that's not being used. So we'll use swipe left, and I'm going to search for peel. There it is, peel stroke replace layers. So we can do that. We're going to peel, and you can count and layer count as many as you want. We're going to do it one at a time. Now you can say this clip or lots of different clips. I'm just going to keep it to this clip for now, and then we're going to get back to the main menu. So now I'm just going to bring the beat back just to show you how this works. So we have all our clips there. If I swipe left, it's taken one away. Keep swiping, I'll end up with nothing. Now don't worry, in this situation you can do undo to bring them back each at a time, so you've got your full clips back, or you could use replace, and replace will put them back where they were. So maybe you could use swipe right, and that way you could use swipe left to take them off and swipe right to put them back on again. This is undo redo, but for every single step, and I think this is fantastic. It's really great for live performance, and it can elevate your sound without having to have loads of different loops with a single loop on each one. You could all have them together in one loop and then just peel them back as you see fit. The next major upgrade to 1.1 is actually the widgets. If we go into the edit mode, you'll see there's two new widgets. In fact, you'll only see one of them, and we'll have to show you where the other one is. But the first one is a stepped dial. Let me bring this in. So imagine like a dial on an amp or a knob controller that you can step through different settings. Now it's up to you what you do with this. You could use it to step through each individual loop, or you could use it with an AUV3 plugin so you can actually step through the different parameters or the different settings or different presets without having to go into the AUV3 and just have that dial there on the main window. When you give it a single tap, you can see how diverse this thing is. Now it doesn't just stop with just what I've just said. Let's just say we're going to take ourselves through all the different presets in a certain AUV3 or certain effect. You can do that, no problem at all, but also at the same time, you could add more things. I'm going to use the reverb that I've got on the green one to change what the reverb sound is. So we can select an item, and what we're going to do is we're going to select effect preset. Now you have to tap to select which one you want to do, so I'm going to select the reverb. Now I didn't have to program every single one in. If you have a look at it now, it's already reshaped itself and it knows that that is the large hall. So let's get out of there. So if we now play this, let me just turn these back off again. Changed it over to the cathedral, and I can prove that by bringing this up. This is really handy. I'm going to save a lot of time, certainly in a live environment. But let's go one stage further. Let's go back into edit and let's just have a look at what we can do with this on top of that. So we can select an item, but you can also go into each individual item and select something as well. So we could say at the same time as changing it from a hall to a cathedral, then what I want you to do is I want you to stop the drums. There's cathedral right there. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's number 11. So if I go into here, I can actually tap on it. Let's go into item 11. So when we go into this, we're going to go select stroke deselect, and then we're going to go play stop, and we're going to choose the orange one. So now, whenever it's select this or deselect this, it's going to change the drums to play stop. So what that means is that when I get to the cathedral one, hopefully it should stop the drums. So what I've just done there is I've just changed the effect for the green one, but at the same time told it to play stroke stop when you get to a certain effect. This is fabulous. This is really, really cool. Again, just simplifying steps so you don't have to go into menus whilst you're performing. So let me just show you this. As I move this onto large room 2 and move it back onto cathedral, you can see it's stopping. Now it's carried on stopping. If I go back to cathedral and go there, it will carry on. It's really, really clever, and it means you can control this however you want. Now, I've got this down as select stroke deselect, but you can have it as just select this one, deselect this one, change one for another, change this over to loop 2. It's entirely up to you. The other widget is hidden. Well, it's not really hidden, it's part of a menu, and it's radio controls. If you tap the clip slicer, you now have a couple of different options. So you've got button grid and radio buttons. The way to think of these is think of it like the dial, but instead of actually going through each one, you can program every single button to be something different. So you can actually jump from button 1 to button 9. You could jump from button 11 to button 3, and it just gives you more control over a specific thing. So again, if we want to actually go through and select an effect preset, we can select the reverb, all presets, and that's fine. And you can see it's changed. It's actually got rid of one of them there. So we can actually just go into each one individually and then pick the different preset for that reverb. One of the nice little tweaks for the mixer, if you hold down an audio input, you can replace it with something else. So I hit replace, it then asks me what you want it to be. If you hold down an inter-app audio, then it'll tell you what it is, and you can actually play around with the monitoring, and we can trash it right here. Just be aware of the difference between an audio unit and an inter-app audio unit. An inter-app audio unit is an audio unit that's playing outside of Loopy and it's coming in, whereas a normal audio unit is inside Loopy. It's been launched inside Loopy Pro. So when we hold down on something that's been brought inside, you can replace it because that's inside that program. Whereas something that's an inter-app audio, we can't replace it. We can get rid of it because Loopy Pro doesn't have that control. And the big one with AUV3s is multiple inputs and outputs support, in addition to MIDI input and output and custom parameter support. There are so many small little adds, tweaks, and features. As I said to you at the beginning of this video, there's over 90 when you get to 1.1.4 with stability and rendering improvements. So what I'd recommend you do is give it a try. If you haven't got Loopy Pro already, as I said, you can trial the new features for 7 days. So you can give those new features a whirl, even if you've had Loopy for a little while. Now, if you haven't been through the series yet, I'm gonna put a link up right now where you can go right back to episode 1. And the next video in the series will be put up here as well.